My dear friends, very, very good day. I hope you're having a great, great, blessed day and you're having fun, you're working, you're doing uh, all your duties, all your tasks, all your plans are going right ahead. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I love talking to people and talking about their own life, their own well being, and how they can manage things to just be healthy and enjoy your life. And you can listen to me every Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Truth Be Told Radio Network. And if you miss it, you can have a repeat every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But it gets a lot better than that because you can go to Spotify and search for Truth Be Told Radio Network, and there you can listen to each and every program that we have done, and we have over 100 of them. So we touch on in so many subjects, in so many things around you, your health, your well-being that you're going to love and hopefully share all the information that you have in there. Te digo. Now, let's talk a little bit about something which is very important that we not only take for granted, but we don't even think about it. I mean, we're born, we live, we grow older, and one day we're going to leave this world, and we never stop to think on this particular function that really is at the bottom of every single function of the body. Without it, life would not be possible at all, and it means a lot. It really means a lot. It what makes us alive. If we didn't have this function, nothing of what we consider life would exist. I mean, we would not be able to do any of the things that we do. We would not be who we are. We would never develop. We will never grow older, etc. Life would not exist. And I'm talking about a very simple yet important function, and that is circulation of the blood. Blood flow. It sounds so simple, it sounds so easy that, as I said, we don't even think of it. I mean, I'm here sitting with you, I'm talking with you, and we're having this conversation, and you can ask me questions about how you can be healthier, and we can discuss about food, and we can discuss about habits, and you might have a disease, and I might be telling you, well, we have to do these changes with your immune system, well, this and the other, etc. And we never stop to think that nothing, absolutely nothing, would be possible if we didn't have blood flowing through our body. That's simple. Life is in the blood. And without the flow of blood, nothing is possible. Absolutely nothing is possible. Why? Because we are a very complex organism. We were made to perfection. We were given a brain to think, a heart to move, blood. We were given a liver and kidneys to detoxify and create chemicals. We were given glands to create hormones. We were given an immune system to fight against infections and problems. And we have a digestive system through which we can turn everything we eat into energy and building blocks, etc., etc., etc. And I could go on describing each and every function of the body. However, if we didn't have a circulatory system, we would not be able to do any of that. Let me explain. Uh, when you have a city, when you have a society, when you have a group, I like to make analogies to try to make it easier to understand. Uh, Cities would be dead if we didn't have transportation means. Actually, when we are at war, one of the first things that the enemy tries to break, destroy, are communications. We try to destroy bridges and highways, even though nobody's there. But that's what allows cities to survive. That's where you transport fuel and supplies and energy and everything. So, with that cut, the city is going to give up and finally surrender. That's what the enemy thinks. And they're not very far from the truth. Same happens in the body. We have this very complex system that allows the blood to circulate. Our heart begins to function about the fourth week. Just 4 weeks it takes for the heart to be created and start moving. But by the 12th week, it already developed valves and it's already beating, actually, I should say, to its heart's content and moving blood through. Why? Because the valve system allows the heart to pump the blood in one direction, and it's like a check valve. We have these check valves that do not allow circulation in reverse, so the blood is always flowing in one direction, and that's the direction of the arteries. And those arteries are the highway system that go to every part of the body. So our heart begins to work as soon as we're barely formed, as soon as we are barely beginning to exist. And it'll beat day and night, day after day, until the day we die. And actually, when the heartbeat stops, then is when we say this person is dead. That's how important our heartbeat is. And it is important because it moves blood along. That's the function of the heart. The heart has to move blood along. That's number one. Now, let me tell you about a different area. That blood is pumped where to? To the circulatory system. I don't know if you know, but it's interesting to mention that we have over 60,000 miles of blood vessels, arteries and veins and capillaries and little vessels, etc., and 60,000 miles. We cover organ after organ, limb after limb, part of the body after part of the body, cell by cell. We have to provide blood to every single cell of the body because that means life. If a cell doesn't get blood, it's going to die because our cells are actually very active machines. They take fuel from the blood, change it into energy. They use that energy as we use energy in a house for heating, for cooking, for everything. That's what the cell does. It can produce heat, so our bodies are warm, and that warmth helps a lot of functions that again would not occur if we didn't have that possibility. And then that blood also brings a lot of building blocks and things that we need to make cells. Well, this part has been damaged. We need a brick here, a rebar there. That's what the blood does. It brings to every single cell the energy and the parts it needs to recreate itself and be functional. But you know what? Those functions, same as our house, our car, or everything, it produces some waste. Because when you burn things, you end up with ashes. You end up with things you don't need. One of them is carbon dioxide. One of them is urea. One of them are toxic substances that are produced in the metabolic pathway of each and every cell. What are these cells going to do? Well, they have to send it somewhere else, and that is the blood. Once again, our friendly blood that wants to deliver oxygen and deliver nutrients and deliver fuel. Now, of course, I'll take the garbage out. And that garbage is going to go to different organs to be excreted, to be taken out of the body. Carbon dioxide, we're going to get it out through respiration. Uh, Other things are going to go in the kidneys, so they go out as urine. Other ones are excreted into the bowel, so they go out of in our bowel movements, and some of them are going through the liver, and then the liver produces this substance that it's at the same time waste disposal and a very important part of the digestive system, which is the bile. And then the bile goes into the digestive system and helps digestion on one hand, but on the other hand, helps getting rid of certain things that our body doesn't need. So, what would happen if we didn't have blood? None of the things that we have mentioned would happen. That's why it's so important that this pump continues to work very healthy, very strongly, uh, filled with energy, pumping blood throughout those 60,000 miles of blood vessels. So you have oxygen in every cell, fuel in every cell, everything they need to build up in every cell and take care of whatever uh, tissue debris or waste material has been created through these metabolic pathways. Now, we begin to understand that this function that we never talk about is life in itself. That's why we say life is in the blood. And the better the blood flows, the healthier you are. That's a very important concept that you have to understand. The better blood flows, the better, the healthier you're going to be. If for any reason our blood doesn't flow as we want it, if it slows down, if it has any problem, then we're creating disease. And that's what I want to talk about you. That's why I want you to stay with me, because we're going to talk about all those concepts, because we have to know about them, because we have to understand them. We have to look at ourselves in the mirror and really understand that we're a miracle. We're given a body that was created in perfection, that has functions that we don't even think about, but they were given to us, and it is our sacred duty to take care of them. And that's what we're going to be talking about. BioCare. Stay with me. I'm happy to be able to reach and talk to each one of you. And I hope you really like our conversations, and I hope you share them. To me, it's very important that you share them, because this is like the gospel. I tell you, just hoping that you're going to tell somebody else, because that's what really creates an important concept. If I know something, it does very little good. It might help my patients, yes, but it's not going to go too far. But if I can tell you about it and you share the word with other people and those people do likewise, in no time, we're going to have a whole army of people fighting for our well being, fighting for our future, fighting for the health and future of our children, fighting for our future generations. That's why it's very important that you share it. How you share it? Through social media. You can go to Facebook, you can go to Instagram, you can go to Twitter, you name it. And you're going to find me there. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez with BioCare Hospital and Wellness Center. You're going to find me there, and you're going to find a lot of hours of conversations like this, a lot of resources on how you can modify your life, how you can help yourself to be healthier, how you can help people around you to be healthier. And that is very important because we need a society that spends less money in medical care and much more money in good lifestyles. If we start doing that, we're going to be saving money on drugs and laboratory and hospitals, and we're going to be using that money to enjoy ourselves, to travel, to have a Sunday barbecue with the people that we love. That's what life is all about. So we have to learn all these things. So please help me share the word. And what I want you to do is go to the social media of your choice, look for Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, search on Spotify Truth Be Told Radio Network, and you're going to have programming like this. So you can tell somebody at home, at work, at your church, say, hey, why don't you listen to this? You might find it interesting. And you don't have to listen to the whole thing. We normally split each program in 4 segments. So if you don't have to go, I don't think nobody has any more 1 full hour, but you have 15 minutes. There you go. There you have it. You can learn something that's going to help you uh, lead a better life, a healthier life. And we're talking about today about a very important function, which is the flow of blood. And we remember this biblical concept of life is in the blood. And it is. It is absolutely. And we barely talk about it because we take it for granted. Not only for granted, we just don't even think about it. We ignore it. Many people, when I give a talk like this, tell me, I didn't know that, doctor. But it makes a lot of sense. I'll keep an eye on things. Now, what, how this blood flow works? We have to understand first how it works. Then we're going to understand what can we do to correct it. Blood flow is a circulatory system in a closed system. Okay? I don't know how clear is that. But you have a closed system of blood vessels with a pump that pushes the blood in one direction. We already said that the heart has check valves, so the blood cannot go backwards, but also the veins. You know, for example, our lower limbs, when we're standing up, the heart sends the blood all the way to our toes. That's easy. But what about bringing all that blood back to the heart so it can be repumped? Well, that's not easy. It has to be pushed upward. And the way the body does it, again, we're made in perfection, is that the veins of the lower limbs, and only the veins of the lower limbs, have check valves also. So as the blood is flowing upward, if it tries to go back, the valves will close. Those check valves will close. If any of you work in the pipelines of your house or a factory or anything like that, will understand it very clearly. So those check valves let the blood flow upward, but never backward. So as it goes upward, it'll reach the heart, it'll be pumped again. Now we have two circulatory systems actually. One is handled by the right side of the heart, and the other one is handled by the left side of the heart. The left side of the heart will pump the blood to the whole group of blood vessels and arteries and veins that go throughout the body. But when the blood comes back to the heart, remember we were saying it's going to carry substances the body wants to get rid of. And one of them is carbon dioxide. So what happens is that then the right heart of the heart will pump the blood into the lungs. And in the lungs, it's going to release the carbon dioxide out of the body. We don't need it. It's not toxic, but we don't need it. We have nothing to do with it. There are better uses for carbon dioxide. Plants love it. Plants can make energy out of carbon dioxide. That's why plants and us get along so well, because what is a waste for us is a source of energy for them. So let them have their carbon dioxide, out it goes. But those plants produced a gas they don't need. It's oxygen. And that oxygen that the plants are producing, that they're getting rid of, we're going to inspire it, bring it to the lung, and it's going to go to the heart to be pumped to the rest of the body. Delivering oxygen, picking up carbon dioxide, then goes to the lung, carbon dioxide goes out the body, we pick oxygen, then goes through the whole system. So we're always constantly delivering oxygen to every cell and getting all the carbon dioxide out of every cell every single minute since we are born. Before that, it's our mother who does the job. She'll deliver oxygen for us and she will take the carbon dioxide. But from the minute you're born, from your first scream and cry, it's your responsibility to fulfill the function, and we do it very well. Now, again, if any of you work in some sort of hydraulics or boilers or heating processes or cooling processes, you'll understand what I'm saying. You have a pump, you have a system, a closed system through which this pump will pump the fluid we want to run around. And then you say, how good is the quality of my delivery system? Well, it depends, first of all, of a good pump. If your pump is very weak, it will not be able to do the job. We're going to succumb. We need a heart that's strong and functional, that can pump the blood all the way to every single cell of the body, in the toes or in the tip of your head. Has to go anywhere. On the other hand, you need a system that's clean. And you have lived with it in your shower. How many times have I heard people that say, my shower is not working anymore because I get just few drops and I wonder what's wrong, etc., etc. And then somebody comes here and says, take the shower, rinse it, clean it. It has some sand, some debris. Clean it well, put it with a little bit of vinegar. That's a free recipe. Leave it with a little bit of vinegar for a little while, and then rinse it well, put it back again. Wow, voila, you have your shower working again. So we have to clean the blood vessels. If the blood vessels have any of these things stuck to the blood vessel, the blood will not flow as well. So if we eat the bad fats, if we eat a lot of sugars, if we do cigarette smoking, if we do any of these things, what's going to happen is that our blood vessels are not going to be as clean and as clear as they should be. So they need cleansing. And the last one that nobody tells you about is the density of the fluid. Because if you have a pump and you have a pipeline, it's not going to be the same if you push water through it than if you push oil through it. The denser, the thicker the fluid, the harder it is for the whole system to work. So we need blood that's completely fluid. We need blood that doesn't stick the elements of the blood one to each other because it produces crumbs of red blood cells, blocks of things that block the circulation, particularly in the smaller vessels. In the more distant vessels, that's why you listen. You have heard people that start having problems telling you, my hands are always cold. My feet never seem to get warmer. Why? Because they have a blood deficiency. And that might be because of the thickness. My heart might be well, my vascular system more or less, but the blood is too thick because of what I eat, because what I do not drink, or if I drink soda pop instead of water, I'm not helping myself. If I drink alcohol instead of water, I'm not helping myself. So we need a certain amount of water. We need a certain amount of quality food so we don't make the blood thicker. So there you have it, three things: the quality of your pump, the heart, the quality of your blood vessels, and the density of the fluid. Keep this in mind because I'm going to tell you how to treat, how to deal with these conditions, and we're going to need all those three elements to understand it well. So stay with me. We still have a lot of things to talk about. I'm going to give you some ideas of what can we do, because it's important to understand, it's important to know. I hope you have been following me in these last two segments. I hope you have been with Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez. And I really hope that you share the information with other people because it might even save their lives. That's how important blood flow is. Blood flow can literally kill us or save our lives. So we have to know that because we have a lot of answers. You know, one of the things that I love about what I do, one of the things that I really love about biocaring, in other words, taking care of life with life, is that you can do so many things to be healthy, so many things to be better, so many things that cost you nothing, that are very effective, and that can make a complete change in your life. That's why I want you to follow me. And that's why I want you to share the word. Because it shouldn't stay just with me and just with you. You should go to the whole community. You should go to our children because they're just beginning their lives. And the earlier you begin to understand how you have to take care of your body, the healthier, the longer you're going to live. You don't want to go to a hospital to see one of your children or one of your grandchildren when you had knowledge that could have helped them. So that's why it's so important to share the word. We have to say, look, this is like planting a garden. When you plant a garden, it's not a matter of going and buy plants and I put a tree and no, that's not important. That's just the beginning. Same when you have a child. Same when you begin a family. Well, you have a big party and you have a big celebration and you have a lot of fun and you have a honeymoon trip, etc. All that is beautiful, yes. Now what? What with the garden? What with my family? That's where the real work begins. And it's not work. It really, in reality, it should be joy. Joy of watering my plants. Joy of getting rid of weeds. Joy of using the fertilizer. joy of pruning and cleaning, etc., joy of feeding my family, joy of providing a clean environment, joy of teaching them better ways. Because you want to grow old with all of them in good shape. My mother always told me, if God really loves me, the day I die, all my children are going to be around me and they're going to be very healthy. She always said that. He'll punish me if I have to deal with an illness of a child. Because it has to be terrible to go through that. We all suffer when a child is sick. So why don't we start learning how to build a healthier family, a healthier community? See, when you talk to each other, when you share the word, you're building a healthier community. And that's going to be a happier community too. So we're talking about blood flow and how important that is for us. We have said that it is a very complex process and that has done a lot of good things. Now, what are we going to be doing? I would start really first and foremost with food, as usual. Why? Because if we're talking about blood thickness, if we're talking about clogging of the blood vessels, if we're talking about a failing heart, all that is connected to what we eat. And it's not necessarily, we have to stop thinking, oh, it's the fats, is this, is the other. No, we have to be a little bit more objective because Eskimos, for example, the Inuit people eat a lot of fats and they're very healthy. So it depends on how you choose your food choices. So if I'm going to have a fat, I want it to be first quality. What are the first quality? One, lard, the other one, real butter, and our eternal best health ally in the world, olive oil. You know, in Spain, for example, there are a group of people connected to universities where they give 1 ounce of virgin olive oil to an individual just like a shot. Cheers and drink it. 1 ounce of good quality olive oil every day. And you know what? It lowers the blood pressure, it clears the blood vessels because we have a metabolically active body. So many things, if we do them right, not only are not going to produce any damage, but they're going to right the wrongs. And one of them is olive oil. If we eat vegetables, if we fiber up our life, we're going to be in much better shape. Fiber up. Make sure that your diet contains a lot of fiber. If you have a condition, then I would say you have to take care of that condition, particularly if they're connected to the circulatory system. One of them is high blood pressure. And there's a program about it. Search on Spotify, Truth Be Told Radio Network, Dr. Rodriguez, and look for high blood pressure. If not, give me a call. Send me an email. I'll send you the full transcript. I'll send you the full recording for you to listen to it. Break a sweat. One of my health gurus in my life was a lady named Maureen Solomon. And she always said, when you are exercising, nothing happens until you reach that point where you break the sweat. You start doing things, and all of a sudden you start feeling hotter, you start feeling something happening in your body, and then you start developing the little droplets of sweat. That minute is where you can start measuring or recording time. Before, nothing happened. As soon as you break the sweat, you're doing yourself a huge service. And if you can do 20 minutes after breaking sweat with exercise every day, you're going to be in good shape. But remember that phrase, break, break a sweat. Okay. I don't have to tell you that weight is critically important, and it is connected to our physical activity, to our sedentarism, to what we eat, etc. So please go to weigh yourself every day, measure your waistline every day, call me, send me an email. I'll tell you what I think of where you are and how we can do it, or we should do it. I'll be very happy to help you. But you cannot just go on life thinking that I'll get on a diet on Monday, because most probably is that the diet that you choose is not going to be a smart diet. And I hate the word diet because it implies two things. One, we really have attached to the word diet some sense of sacrifice. Shouldn't be that. And the other one, we give it a time frame. People say, I'm going to be on a diet for how long? No, forget about that. We have to be smart eaters. We have to begin to learn how to eat local foods, uh, things that are freshly produced, and again, fiber up the diet and introduce things that they're very good for us. Make away with the packed food because it's loaded always with sugar, with the bad oils, with salt, etc. So cook from scratch. There is a very important nutritionist in the United Kingdom that says it doesn't really matter what you eat as long as you cook it yourself from scratch. In other words, buy fresh, cook yourself. That is a very important point. Now, alcohol is an area that it's arguable. And I'm going to give you a general idea because the truth is I still don't think we know. But if you're going to drink, you have to prefer fermented drinks. What are those? Beer and wine. Period. No distilled alcohol. Beer and wine. That's going to be your choices. Second, one. Please, one. Some medical studies have proven that that could be helpful. Two, begin to be harmful. So you can have probably a glass of wine, say cheers to your wife, to your husband, to your parents, have a drink. That's it. Go on with your life. Another aspect, do not smoke. I'm telling you that with alcohol, I have these different points of view. With cigarette smoking, there are not different points of view. Everybody hates it. Everybody that's connected to health know it's bad for you. There is no way, absolutely no way, in which a cigarette is going to help you. Even if you're smoking it secondhand, secondhand smoke is just as bad. So please don't get yourself near to cigarette smoke and do not smoke yourself. So when you start doing all these things, then you start learning that things might be working on your behalf. If you do them, I'm going to give you good advice because that has brought a lot of smiles from people. I tell my patients, now with the telephones, some parts you hate it, this part I love it. I tell my patients, once you get in the hospital, once you start biocaring, take a selfie every day. And you're going to see how you change. You're going to see how your complexion changes. You're going to see how everything improves. So if you start putting a program together to help you, you will help you. But again, share the word. Don't keep it just for yourself. And then we're going to talk about how much you can achieve by having a BioCare Health Getaway. So stay with me. That'll be our next segment. Hello, my friends. I'm Dr. Rodriguez. I have been very excited today about blood flow, blood circulation, life in the blood, and how important all that function is. And I have discussed with you what blood flow really means, what life can be provided by blood, and how really the flow of blood uh, is life giving. If we didn't have it, we'd be absolutely dead, and we know it. Uh, you have seen it on TV, you have seen it in a book, you have seen it everywhere when they say heart stopped. And you know what that means. Why? Because the pump stopped. And the pump is not delivering everything, so you are gone. That means death. But what happens, for example, if not the whole system is shut down? What happens is just part of the circulatory system gets blocked. Well, then you can have a lot of things. But all I have to tell you is that if you have a problem with circulation at this point, from that point forward, all the tissues that are fed by that branch of the circulatory system are going to go down and they're going to be suffering a lot, and finally they're going to die. And that's what happens, for example, in one of the best known or most discussed type of cases, which is a stroke. Stroke is a condition that everybody fears. We're all afraid of it. And we're all afraid of it because we have seen it. We have seen it in a relative. We have seen it in a friend. There's a blockage or there's a hemorrhage, which is the same thing. If you have a pipeline and it breaks, yes, you're going to have a flood, but also the water from the point of breakage on will not be delivered with water. Same if the thing gets clogged because of Lyme or whatever, from here on you will not have circulation. So you have two different things that produce the same consequence. One is a clot and the other one is a hemorrhage. And when it happens in the brain, the blood flow from that point on will be stopped. So, which blood vessel was damaged? Well, could be left, could be right, could be in the back, could be in the front of the head, could be very deep, could be very surface, etc. So, the consequences are endless, depending of what area of the brain or the central nervous system has been left without blood. And it could be almost unnoticed. If the breakage or of the problem is very small or affects an area that's not very important, people might not even notice it. People might not be aware of it. And many times we do an MRI on a person for a different reason, and we find that that person has had different little strokes already. So the fact that you don't feel anything doesn't mean that nothing has happened. But if that clot or that breakage happens in an important part of the brain, then you're going to see the typical case of a stroke when you're paralyzed, have the body, when you lose your speech, when you lose your ability to move or recognize people, when you stop speaking because now you cannot articulate words, etc. So that's what happens. What happens if that blood clot or that breakage happens in the heart? Well, part of the heart is going to be dead, and that dead muscle is not working anymore. So, what's going to happen is that number one, you had a tremendous pain, it's very painful in your chest, and then you're going to lose part of the function because you don't have the full muscle beating. Now you just have part of the muscle beating because this part is dead. And what is going to happen is that the efficiency of the heart, remember, that's the pump that keeps the blood flowing, is not going to be as good. So a lot of cells in the body are going to be suffering because they're going to get blood, but not in the amount it needs. And if I demand a little bit of extra effort, I will not be able to cope with it. So I might be alive, I might be talking to you, but if you say, oh, come on, Grandpa, I'm going to show you my new car, you might have to go a step at a time because your heart does not deliver the oxygen. Your muscles need to go at the speed your granddaughter is going. So, one way or another, it's not pleasant. And one way or another, we might have important things. I'm going to give you this. Uh, Another thing I want to offer you is the concepts that I mentioned of how to prevent these conditions. I'm going to post them on my social media so you can have them handy. You can share them. And I'm going to give you another part that I just read that I think it makes a lot of sense. That's called think fast. Simple. Think fast. FAST. So, what is that? That is simple signs that can tell you, watch it, something important might be happening. The one is for F, for fast, F, face drooping. If you see any change in the face of the person, particularly if it's one side or the other, when it's not uh, completely symmetric, when for whatever reason you lose the symmetry of your face, watch it. How can you notice it better? Ask people to smile. You see, doctors many times when you go to the doctor's office will tell you, okay, show me your teeth. Close your eyes, but close them hard. Don't let me pull them open because you want to see the symmetry of the movements of the face. But you can do it at home. You can tell people smile, and if you see any face drooping, any asymmetry, watch it. You might be having a problem. For A, an arm weakness or numbness, people start feeling something, and it's typical. You talk to people and you see that they do this, like, well, I don't know what I have. I have this feeling, and watch it. That's the other one. The other one, speech. Speech is a very complicated function. So anything that affects the brain can affect the speech. So slurred words, uh, lack of continuity, things are beginning to go. You know the person, so you know what I mean. You say, this is not right, okay? So when you have those things, okay, the face drooping, the arm weakness, the speech problems, etc., it's time to call 911. Look for help. It could be very important and life-saving. Now, do we do at BioCare? It's so important to me to have circulatory, blood, heart health. To me, it's so important that we have a whole program designed to address each and every part. The quality of the heart function, the cleanliness of the blood vessels, the density of the blood. We work on each and every part. Anti inflammatory strategies, weight control, etc. But very important, like chelation, hyperbaric oxygen, oxygenative therapies to make sure that the cells can recover from whatever function deficit they might have to that point. And as people start decreasing inflammation, getting rid of weight, cleansing the blood vessels, reducing the density of the blood, everything starts to flow. And the better the blood flows, the faster the good things start to happen. So it might take 1, 2, 3 days to get going, but then all of a sudden it's like beginning to go downhill. Everything happens faster, happens better. But you have to be here. You have to be at BioCare. That's why I tell people, get 10 days together. I'm going to give you so much for 10 days in a BioCare health getaway that you will not believe it. Take your selfies. You're going to smile. When you go back, people are going to ask you what you did. I can believe how well you look because health always brings good looks. So as we improve, as inflammation goes down, as blood starts to flow and picking up all the waste and tissue debris, and we begin to oxygenate every single cell and give it fuel and give it building materials and creating new healthier cells, everything starts to happen in a good way. And if you pursue this program, if you continue to call your doctor, if you continue to do what you know what you have to do, if you continue to biocare yourself, I can tell you that those 10 days are going to translate in 10 years of well being. And I'm telling you because I have close to 40 years doing this. I have over 50 years as a doctor, but over 40 years doing this. And I know that 10 days with a good, proactive person that understands the importance of loving yourself and biocaring yourself can give me 10 years of well being. Believe me, you don't want to see me as a doctor, you want to see me as a friend. It is a lot less expensive, a lot less suffering, a lot less everything, and so rewarding that you owe it to yourself. BioCare and everything will be possible. We'll see you next time.